Hello and welcome to Channel's Business Global with me, Simon Pusey, from our studios here in London, sitting in for my colleague Juliana Olayinka, who is away this week. Coming up on today's show, according to recent data, untreated mental health-related illness cost UK employers between 33 and 42 billion pounds per year, with an increasing number of staff reporting work-related stress to the NHS. Minhal Bandali, the musculoskeletal director at the London Back Pain Clinic, caught up with Juliana Olayinka to discuss. And more than 4 months since Hamas terrorists invaded Israel on October the 7th, the brief ceasefire that allowed for over 100 hostages to be freed from Gaza remains a distant memory. The 19-year-old cousin of Ashley Waxman Bakshi is still being held by the group, and we will be replaying the discussion she had with Juliana earlier this month. Then later, I'll be looking back at some of the biggest business news stories of the week. But first, the UK's economy has officially entered recession, according to recent statistics. The 0.3% decline in the final quarter of 2023 affected all major sectors in the economy, with retail sales especially plummeting in the run-up to Christmas. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has admitted he understands Conservative voters' frustration, but warned them not to fall for Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer's con. Conservatives are trailing Labour by around 20 points in the latest opinion polls.
Mr. Speaker, this is Mr. 25 tax rises. He's literally the country's expert on putting taxes up, and he thinks he can lecture everyone else on the economy. Last week, he and his MPs were laughing at someone whose mortgage had gone up £1,000 a month. This week, he's casually made a £1,000 bet in the middle of an interview. Last week, he thought even raising questions about the cost of living was, and I quote, resorting to the politics of envy. And this week, he's finally found the cause that he wants to rally around, the non-dom status. When he finds himself backing tax avoidance over NHS appointments, does he start to understand why his own MPs are saying he simply does not get what Britain needs?
Simon, so a lot of famous names from the Conservative Party have been gaining headlines this week. I think that's because of the 4-year Brexit anniversary. I think always at the end of January, people like Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, even now Suella Braverman are going to be putting their thoughts forward. I think the Conservatives clearly know they're going to lose the next general election, and now it just appears to be a battle of who is going to be the new leader.
Yeah, and I think or people who are lining up after the election, maybe there won't be a coup d'etat before the election or someone trying to take the Conservatives and sort of reduce their losses. But yeah, exactly, people are sort of lining up for jockeying for position after a big loss, and then Rishi Sunak will obviously be toppled. I don't think it'll happen before, really. I think we've seen the rebellion after rebellion fail pretty pitifully. We've heard lots of big talking from various factions. We've got a new faction, incidentally. Yeah, we've got the Liz Truss has launched a new movement dubbed the Popular Conservatives, or Popcons, which has Jacob Rees-Mogg. I think, I don't know. I think it is probably jockeying for position after the next election.
Her as leader?
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying that, aren't they? Some people are saying that actually, the big budget crisis wasn't her fault. You look around across Europe.
They all agreed.
Right, so it's really hard to see that, isn't it? And it's really hard for her to talk about what should be done and for economic growth and stuff when she really, toppled the economy. But so Rishi Sunak, as always, as we always sit here every week, has a huge task on his hands to keep this party together ahead of a general election which he can call whenever he wants, but
not
at
this
the moment,
half of the year.
No, I mean, at the moment, it looks like in the polls, why would you call it anytime soon, anytime around sort of May, summertime? Do it as late as you can. So I think most people are thinking maybe October, November, not December because Christmas. But yeah, I think it's such a hard task, isn't it? And actually, we sort of criticise him quite a lot, and he makes quite a few gaffes, and he comes across as not being the most charismatic person. He's obviously very intelligent, but I think to give him credit, the past few years we've been sitting here talking about Boris Johnson, Liz Truss. Scandal. Absolute, catastrophic scandal. So I think he's doing the best he can. Yeah. It's not going to be good enough, but that's partly his fault, partly not. It's the Conservatives' 14 years.
Any cracks in Sir Keir Starmer's mandate? Some people say, is there even a mandate?
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends, if he wins this sort of record kind of swing that people are predicting in the next election. At the moment, he doesn't have a mandate, obviously, but he's pretty ruthless with his party. He's kicked out people, Jeremy Corbyn and all of the Corbynistas, and he's turned it around, and he's kind of, it may not be show-stopping fireworks kind of charismatic intrigue, but he's definitely got Labour
zero tolerance,
where they look like they're a party, a government in waiting. They look like they're ready to go, and the front bench look pretty esteemed. And I think there's going to be things like Palestine, Gaza. There's going to be things that he has issues with, but the economy and the economy. But the ruthless streak, you've got to give him credit for. Labour are not known for that, and it looks like at the moment he's sort of sailing for a big victory. Yeah, it's all to play for. Thanks, Simon. Well, let's change gears now. According to recent data, untreated mental health-related illness is costing UK employers between 33 and 42 billion pounds per year. The study also suggests there has been a sharp increase in the number of staff reporting work-related stress to the NHS. Stigma and discrimination surrounding mental health remain pervasive in many workplaces despite increasing awareness. Health practitioners suggest this stigma can prevent individuals from seeking help and support, leading to further deterioration of their mental health. Well, for more on this, Juliana caught up with Minhal Bandali, the musculoskeletal director at the London Back Pain Clinic. Minhal Bandali, thank you so much for joining me in the Channel's Business Global studio. We're here to talk about something that I would say in some communities, particularly ethnic minority communities living in the global north, they do find it difficult to talk about, but it's something that we're seeing an increase of, especially since the pandemic. Do you think Britain does have an issue with mental health?
Well, I can only speak from experience of what's happening in the cases that we're receiving in the clinic. There's been an increase of mental health cases, whether it's to do with fear, depression, stress, and anxiety. There's a wide range of topics that patients are coming to us to speak about. A topic that has increased over the last, I'd say, years, probably as you mainly speak about as well, the cost of living. So there definitely has been an increase in mental health cases.
When you are getting that, because of course you are the musculoskeletal director of the London Back Pain Clinic, I would say, to be honest, the type of clients you see, probably middle classes or higher, because it's private, so you've got to pay to see somebody like you. What are you offering the type of patients that come in to see you? For back issues, but have mental health too. So
we don't just see back, we see everything. We have a CBT psychotherapy department, we have a dietitian department, physiotherapy department, podiatry department. We also have a pain management consultant department as well. Now, the research has showed to decrease mental health and positive thinking. Exercise is a good way to relieve some of these stress symptoms. Exercise releases a hormone called endorphins. This is a feel-good factor. So one of our CBT practitioners, they normally engage with people to engage more in exercises to help release these hormones so they can have more of a positive mindset and thinking. We also interlink some of our caseloads together, so with physiotherapy, with psychotherapy and dietitian, because all of these researchers showed interlinking all of them has a positive way of thinking.
I want to ask you more about lifestyle, because that's a significant issue. How does your diet, exercise, sleep, injuries impact your well-being, cost of living?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. So research shows that diet plays a big role now. A lot of people who eat more processed food, fats and sugars, are more likely to lead through the route through to depression. I'm not saying they will get depression, but they're more likely to lead through it. If you eat more of lean meats, fruits and vegetables, you're less likely to go through to the route of depression. We've seen a lot of cases in our clinic whereby the CBT psychotherapist will have some sort of treatment protocols, and they need that last final push to get through to the other side. We normally refer them off to the dietitian so they can increase their diet in a more healthier way. So it gets them over that last hurdle. So interlinking all these practices is actually shown to be beneficial, and we're very glad that we can provide this service.
Absolutely. How do you think the portrayal of mental health in the media and popular culture shapes people's perception? Because again, I started off our discussion by saying that lots of people in our community they shy away from seeking help. But do you think it's because of, they think people say that they're mad?
Well, as you know, 10 to 15 years ago, it was a very taboo subject, as you mentioned. I think nowadays the media is increasing their awareness of mental health. The Mental Health Day has been around for a long time, but it's now been shown more
it's
awareness.
Celebrated.
It's celebrated a lot more. Obviously, we have reality TV shows that have adverts on mental health before and after the shows to show that you can go and speak to people if you've been affected in any way. More people are now talking to one another, colleagues, families, work people, just talk about their stresses of day-to-day lives, which has been put more forward, and this is probably because of the media as well. So I think it's shown in a positive way.
Do you think, because obviously you're able to have a bird's eye view on what's going on, do you think workplaces do need to offer support for people who are struggling? Toxic environments, of course, not great.
Again, a very good question. So I'll answer this in two parts. We've seen a lot of cases come through because people are worried about their working environment. They sometimes mention that their colleagues that they work with can be quite toxic, and they want to know ways to resolve it, ways to have protocols to basically try to engage with it in a more healthier way.
Yeah.
We've also seen more businesses and more corporate structures which are involving CBT practitioners within the building. So if there's an element of stress or negative thoughts or feelings, they can go directly to the CBT.
Like taking a paracetamol or something.
Well, not like taking a paracetamol,
Okay.
but yes, but speaking to someone, which
Yeah.
will help engage and just try to get out their negative thoughts. So I think corporate
Support is there.
Support is there, yeah.
But perhaps
I think,
more widespread.
I think corporate structures are more moving towards this structure now, which I think is a good thing as well.
No, that is good. We're running out of time, but I don't want you to get up and show us some exercises. But I do want to know what type of physical activity has been shown to work. Because I did hear, apparently, yawning, stretching, even if it's an hour. I mean, for 5 minutes within an hour, it can help. What kind of practical things could people do?
This is probably done by case.
Yeah.
So studies have shown that high intensity workouts is good for
What's the
reducing
high intensity? For some of us who don't go to the gym.
Apologies. So high intensity workout is like high impact, doing a lot of strength and speed.
So running?
Running's more of an aerobic activity.
Okay.
Boxing can be more of a high intensity workout. Yes. But again, there's some studies that show that aerobic exercises are good. So that could be stuff like yoga,
Swimming?
running. Swimming can be one as well. It's normally done on a case by case. Now, exercise doesn't mean just as in going to the gym and increasing your heart rate. It could also be done via meditation. It could also be done by exercising the mind from reading and writing.
Wow.
So anything that helps increase the positive mindset of the mind can be classified as exercise, and it's a positive way that research has shown to be good.
It's absolutely fascinating listening to you, Minal, and it's obviously important because so many of us, have difficult days, but for some people it's not a difficult day. They feel like it is a difficult life, but there are ways out because, of course, if you can't go to work because of a mental health issue, that does affect your bank balance. So really interesting listening to you, Dr.
Minhal Bandari, not a doctor, but yeah.
Really fascinating listening to you, Minhal Bandali, who is the musculoskeletal director at the London Back Pain Clinic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Juliana, for having me again. Thank you.
Coming up on Channels Business Global, more than 4 months since Hamas terrorists invaded Israel on October the 7th, the brief ceasefire that allowed for over 100 hostages to be freed from Gaza remains all but a distant memory. The 19-year-old cousin of Ashley Waxman Bakshi is still being held by the group, and we will be replaying the discussion she had with Juliana a couple of weeks ago. And as always, I'll be looking back at some of the biggest business news stories of the week. All of this after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Channels Business Global with me, Simon Pusey, from our studios here in London. Juliana is away this week. In a moment, we will replay an interview that she conducted with Ashley Waxman Bakshi a couple of weeks ago. But until then, here's a breakdown of some of the biggest business news stories of the week.
The rate of inflation in the United Kingdom has remained at 4%, surprising economists who had predicted a small increase to 4.2%. The biggest upward factor was rising gas and electricity costs, but the first month-on-month fall in food prices for more than 2 years helped the consumer price index remain static. Furniture and household goods prices also fell. The lower than expected figure gives some relief to the Bank of England, which is expected to start a cycle of interest rate cuts in the coming months. In tech news, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has sold another $2 billion worth of the tech company's shares. This follows his announcement 2 weeks ago to dispose of 50 million shares worth a staggering $8.5 billion by the year's end. Many have argued in a bid to reclaim the title of the world's richest man. Bezos stepped down as CEO in 2021 and currently stands as executive chairman at Amazon. Despite this shift, according to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, his estimated wealth has risen by $22.6 billion this year due to the escalating company stock. And Japanese electronics firm Sony's profits rose 13% in the final quarter of 2023, thanks to growing sales in music, mobile image sensors, and video games. Quarterly sales for the PlayStation and Bravia TV maker rose by 22%, $24.7 billion. Sony Pictures operations, including TV and digital streaming licensing sales, also climbed during the fiscal year, following the success of movie releases such as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Equalizer. Despite the increase in revenue, its latest forecast is still below the 1 trillion yen it earned in the previous year.
Now to our final topic. More than 4 months since Hamas terrorists invaded Israel on October the 7th, the brief ceasefire that allowed for over 100 hostages to be freed from Gaza remains a distant memory. One of the young women still missing is 19-year-old Agam Berger. A couple of weeks ago, her cousin Ashley Waxman Bakshi travelled from Israel to London and caught up with Juliana.
Ashley Waxman Bakshi, it's an absolute pleasure having you in the Channel's Business Global studio. You've had a very fleeting but impactful visit to London. I know you must be exhausted because unfortunately you're not here in London to talk about anything exciting or promoting your makeup brand. You're here to talk about your cousin Agam, who, like so many others, has been held captive by Hamas for almost 4 months. Can you talk to me about her?
Absolutely. So firstly, this is her. She loves makeup as well. Should I hold it up like that? So that's Agam. She's 19. She plays the violin. And I want to tell you just something that will make you understand who Agam is, okay? Because when I was 19 years old, if you would have asked me on my 19th birthday, Ashley, what do you want? I would have said, I want my parents to buy me a car and I want to pass all my exams at uni. And she wrote herself a letter on her 19th birthday, which we found now in her diary, and she wished for peace with the Palestinians. She wished for unity amongst the world and the nations and free love. This is the girl she is. She took a year off of her life to volunteer with special needs children and the less fortunate. She has a mood board in her room in which she wrote on it, giving cannot be quantified. Like, she is really, that is her. She is a volunteer. She is a good, pure soul, very, very innocent soul. Yes, she's the life of the party also. She has a twin sister. They're very different, so they're not identical. And Agam is the one always smiling and dancing and the life of the party. And her other sister, her twin sister, is more introverted. There are 2 other siblings, a younger sister who's 18, a younger brother who's 12. The family obviously is shattered. I'm here speaking on behalf of our family because Agam's parents honestly just cannot. It is so difficult to tell the story again and again and again. But I feel the need to do it because I still see traveling around the world, people not knowing that there are hostages or denying that there are hostages. So I think it's really important that we raise awareness, that people know. what I want to say is I've heard, about this fear of speaking up because Israel is so strong or Jews control the media. If you look at almost all mainstream media today, it is clearly very anti-Israel. And so to say that Jews control the media is clearly a very anti-Semitic statement. And I see a lot of hypocrisy in the world. Specifically, again, going back to Agam and going back to the women, again, we have 136 hostages, but I want to speak specifically about the women today.
Yeah.
Where are the international organizations, the women's rights organizations condemning? The entire world condemned the Nigerian, what was done to the Nigerian girls.
The Chibok girls who were kidnapped.
Absolutely, and that is wrong.
Bring back our girls.
Exactly,
Sure
it is a
remember
crime against humanity what was done to the girls of Nigeria. That same crime against humanity is being done right now to Jewish Israeli girls, but somehow that's okay. I mean, I have no other word other than hypocrisy. It is truly hurtful, and it is truly scary I'm hearing from Jewish communities outside of Israel that are truly afraid that anti-Semitism has risen to new levels.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not a politician. I'm here on behalf of my cousin.
You could be, Ashley.
I'm a makeup artist. I wish to go back to the days where I could talk about where Agam and I can literally just sit and talk about makeup.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. What I know for sure is that terrorism cannot win, ever. Yeah. Nowhere in the world. We can't let it win. We need to obviously defeat Hamas, which is a terrorist organization that not only targets Israelis, but also places its own innocent civilians as human shields.
Again, there is so much pain and anger. You mentioned Nigeria. We've had kidnappings of children this week. Insecurity is a massive issue there. Of course, we want all of the hostages returned. But what happens beyond this? What is the end game? Why did you come to London? What are you hoping is going to come out of this?
Well, firstly, I want people to firstly know that there are hostages, because it's very easy when you're getting your information from TikTok today.
Yeah. Unverified sources, misinformation, disinformation is incredibly scary.
And there are so many people really propaganding against Israel that they're showing one side of the story. If you don't know that there are hostages, you don't have the whole side of the story. If you don't know about October 7th, you don't know the whole side of the story. So firstly, I just want people to know. Secondly, I want people to recognize the hypocrisy of not speaking up on behalf of these innocent people that are being held hostage. And I want people to just, honestly, I know people sitting at home watching this, they're like, well, I can't do anything. I'm not in the government. Just pray. Just pray for these people. We are people of faith. We believe in Judeo-Christian values of liberty and humanity. And I just ask you to pray for these people. Pray for them to come home and continue to pray and continue to share the stories. Tell people about my baby cousin and why she needs to come home. It's not about politics. She needs to come home.
She does. I think we'll add peace to that prayer list and some other points which we'll add, because we can all do with the prayers. Absolutely heartbreaking, and that we definitely need more love and empathy. I think on both sides, it's just too much, isn't it?
For everyone. For everyone.
It's too much. I totally agree with you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come in and speak with us. And I do hope that the next time we catch up, Ashley, it will be because you're talking about Agam's release and everybody else.
I'll come back here with her.
Okay, I think that's a date. Ashley Waxman-Bakshi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for today, but as always, do get in touch with your comments and suggestions. Juliana will see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business analysis on Channel's Business Global.